In my opinion, this has been one of the better years for Best Picture nominees, so now that I've finally seen them all, let's rank them. And to no surprise, Emilia Perez is going to come in last place. And look, I don't nearly hate this as much as other people do. It just feels like there is way too much going on. The aesthetic, the tone, the plot, the genres. Zoe Saldana is fine, and I'm not going to be upset when she wins the supporting actress, but it's just a mess of a movie. In 9th place, I have Wicked, and let me clarify, there is a large gap between 10th and the rest. And I understand why people enjoy Wicked. I thought that performances and musical numbers were fantastic. I just think there's this built-in barrier for me because I didn't know anything about the Broadway musical. So I can see why it's such a beloved property, but transferring to movie, I just felt like it was flat and dull. So as much fun as I did have, I just enjoyed all these other films better. In 8th place, A Complete Unknown, a movie I really did enjoy and had goosebumps tearing up multiple times during all the musical performances, but it just never fully broke out of the generic biopic beats that most of these films fall into. So once again, not a bad film. In fact, at this point, every film on this list is pretty great. 7th, I have Conclave, a movie I really didn't have any expectations for, but I was on the edge of my seat just listening to all these old dudes talk about politics and religion. It is absolutely riveting, and even though it does have like one too many plot twists at the end for me, I think it's a great crowd pleaser, and I think most people will enjoy it. 6th, I have The Substance, a movie I am just so grateful is on this list because we hardly ever see horror films recognized in this way. So while the message can be on the nose at times while watching the movie, I still found it rather compelling, and the final 20-30 minutes was one of my favorite experiences in the theater this year. 5th place, I'm Still Here, a movie I didn't know anything about until it was nominated for Best Picture. And I am so grateful it was nominated because I absolutely adored this film. A shocking true story centered around a great lead performance. I really gotta listen more to Brazil when they're telling me what movies to watch. 4th place, I have Nora, which I'm still predicting will win Best Picture, and I'm not gonna be upset about that at all. This film surprised me with how funny it was, while still bringing this chaotic energy and being rather tragic at times. Mikey Madison is an absolute star, and it's no surprise that Sean Baker once again directs a masterpiece. Number 3, I have Nickel Boys, one of the more unique films on this list, mostly due to its cinematography and framing device. You just don't see a lot of movies that are shot first-person point of view. So the fact that this movie dares to do that and still give such a compelling story, this is one I'm going to continue to recommend to people for years to come. Number 2 is The Brutalist, an absolute epic that deserves to be seen on the biggest screen possible. And don't let the runtime or fact that there's an intermission scare you from seeing this thing, because for as long as it is, the pacing of it makes it feel so tight. You hardly notice how long you were sitting in the theater because you are so invested in this character. It's an absolutely beautiful work of art with one of the best scores of the entire year. And despite all these great films nominated, I still have Doom Part 2 as my number 1. I can't help myself. This was my favorite film experience of the year, and I think part of that might be due to my burnt out on other movie franchises, because at this point, I consider it a miracle that a film can be a part of a franchise and still be this epic, still have this groundbreaking storytelling with this problematic protagonist. Everything about this film felt like an event, and although it probably won't win many Oscars, if any, this next week, I still think it's an absolute masterpiece and one I'm going to be rewatching for years and years and years. So there's my ranking of the 10 Best Picture nominees. Comment below which films on this list are your favorites.